Tracking historic March heat throughout much of the West, I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. Let's just get right on into it. As you can see, digging into the end of the weekend, early next week, weather impact alert. It starts up on Sunday. This is just to give you a little glimpse of how far above average we're going to be. Average high for Sacramento, 66 degrees. We are going to be above that for Thursday by about 15 degrees or so. We continue to build that heat for the weekend. We're talking temperatures 20 to almost 25 degrees above what we would normally see in the middle of March. And it's all because of this building ridge of high pressure. It's going to amplify that storm track to the north, resulting in this big dome over much of the West. It's sinking, warming air with near record heat through pretty much every place from Sacramento digging into Phoenix, where we see those temperatures, again, about 20 to almost 25 degrees above what we would normally see at this point in the year. Some of us hitting 90 degrees for the earliest time on record for places like Sacramento, and Phoenix could see their earliest 100-degree temperature as well. We're going to see some moderate to, in some places, minor heat risk build throughout the West, but then really along the coast, we're going to see pockets of major heat risk building into our Tuesday and Wednesday forecast. Los Angeles could see their first 100-degree temperature of the year as soon as Thursday of this week, with only building heat throughout much of the state. So again, earliest 90-degree temperature that we have on record for Sacramento is April 6th. That was hit in 1989. We could be nearly 3 weeks ahead of that pace for the record of 90-degree temperatures. Here's a look at how things are playing out. So that record may be broken on St. Patrick's Day, next Tuesday, when we hit that forecasted high of 90 degrees. These are all going to be temperatures that smash the current records that sit in place in the lower 80s. We're talking about mid 80s to right around 90. There is some thinking we could indeed hit that first 90 degrees as early as next Monday. So I'm just being a little bit more on the conservative side right now. Here's a look at the March heat. I showed you at least 5 to 6 days of 80-degree temperatures. We are very likely to hit a 7-day stretch. That also will break the longest March stretch of 80-degree temperatures, plus tie the most 80 degrees that we've hit in March for an entire month. And that, again, is going to be on the conservative side. We could hit that way beyond 6, 7, even 8 days in the forecast. The average first 80-degree day that we see isn't typically until April 4th, and the first 90-degree day is usually on May 8th. Now, I'm not expecting anything in the mid-90s or near 100, but again, this is just so far ahead of the pace of what we normally see. So a lot of people have been asking, what does that mean for our snow? Well, we're not seeing a miracle March by any stretch of the imagination. Instead, we're rapidly seeing that snowpack dwindle. So we're down to about 30 to 70% of average to date, and really that April 1st average, because we're really closing the gap on how quickly we're approaching that April 1st average. That's the point where we see less in the way of snowfall and more in the way of snow melt. All of that snow is filling many of the area creeks, streams, rivers. They're flowing fast, cold, and high. If you're headed out to a hike, just be aware, one slip and you're going to be taken downstream very quickly. Hypothermia, even with air temperatures that are quite warm, that hypothermia can set in quite quickly this time of year. Very dangerous on our waterways. What does that mean for our water supply? Well, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio here. Sure, our snowpack helps to fill our reservoirs, but keep in mind, this is a multi-year situation where we build that water supply. So as of March 10th, this is what things are looking like for many of our big reservoirs, Shasta, Trinity, and Oroville. We're at about 85 to 90% full and well ahead of average. Folsom, a smaller reservoir, but it feeds the metropolitan area of Sacramento. Still looking really good, above average. Same for New Melones, Don Pedro, San Luis, and Millerton as we head a little bit farther to the south. The rainy season, for the most part at this point in the season, is going to be done, because we're just not seeing anything in the pipeline to close us out for the month of March, which is our 4th wettest month. We're 0 for the rain bucket there, and it looks likely that's how things will end up. Started off strong in October and November, and and then everything started to dry out. February ended up being a pretty good month for us, pretty close to average, about 3/4 of an inch off of what we normally see in the season. But this is about the end of it, folks. This is at the point where we're past 50% of our annual precipitation. Peak snowpack is pretty much done. We head into that peak snowmelt period where water becomes our highest demand in the summer months, and we start turning our attention to heat. It's just that we're really bumping up that timeline here. So one thing that we're going to be watching is an increase in winds for Southern California. That's going to be in the 8 to 14 day weather hazards outlook, along with the heat that's in the forecast as well. We're in that slight to moderate risk. The biggest risk is going to be over Utah, parts of Arizona, as well as Nevada. And then obviously through much of California, we're in that slight temperature risk zone of seeing well above average highs. So anytime that we talk about wind and heat, sometimes that would elevate the fire danger. But I want to look at a couple of different outlooks here and really climate patterns that we've seen through the water year so far. Heat has been a problem for us, no doubt about it. October through February, 5-month period here, we've had the hottest on record for several counties: Modoc, Imperial, San Diego, Ventura, Riverside, and San Bernardino, by about 5.5 to almost 6.5 degrees. So warmest on record for many of those counties there, and almost all of California has been warmer than average for that 5-month period. But conversely, we've also seen some of the wettest on record as well. So not the top wettest, but at least in the top categories of about the 7th to 10th wettest on record. So again, not necessarily the top wettest, but one of the wettest here for Ventura, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, Kern, and Kings County. Some of those counties will be under those regions that will have that slight wind event coming in the forecast. So things are okay, given that we saw such a wet October through February so far. Things are a little bit more on the moist side for our soil moisture, and that certainly helps when we talk about fire danger. Not to say that something couldn't break out, but in terms of wide-scale, big mega fires, things aren't looking like that's going to be in the cards for us. Statewide precipitation, if we're just talking about numbers, you can see why some of those areas are some of the wettest on record. And Santa Barbara with over 22 inches of rain, well ahead of what we normally get at this point in the year. And that is true as well for most of the northern part of the state. There's just a couple of pockets in there that didn't quite meet that benchmark. Sacramento, I've been pointing this out. We had that monitoring station down a couple of times where we had some fairly significant precipitation. So those numbers are going to be a little bit skewed for this water year. Storm track well to the north of us. We're getting plenty of precipitation through the Pacific Northwest. It's just really under that ridge of high pressure. We're going to keep all of the precipitation well to the north of California, 10 to 15 degrees above average by the time we get into Saturday. We're going to bump that up to about 15 to 20 plus degrees above average by Sunday into early next week, with a likely warmer weather pattern throughout the entire state through nearly the end of March, and a likely drier one as well. We'll be watching that drought monitor very closely as well. Highs for our Thursday forecast in the 60s for the high country, 70s down low to almost 80, 70s and 80s throughout the Bay Area, the East Bay communities and Delta, 70s along the immediate coastline. For the capital region and the northern San Joaquin Valley, could be that first 80-degree temperature of the year so far, and we only go up from there, especially digging deeper into the weekend forecast. Mid-60s for this year at nearly to 70 by next Monday. For the foothills, warming conditions. If you are headed up to the foothills this weekend, I will let you know that the California poppies are in full bloom, so it should be a lovely weekend. After that, we're all going to be concentrating on the heat with highs in the low 80s. Even the Bay Area getting in on this by next Monday. We're closing in on highs close to 80. So a look at our extended forecast. We build the heat Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. By Sunday, we're in that weather impact alert, and that's going to take us right into Friday's forecast. Here you see those records right at the bottom, and we're going to be not only near to tying them, but completely smashing those records. St. Patrick's Day looks to be the hottest day of the next 10 days.